attention. You don't want my heart. You just don't ever want me getting over you. You just want attention. You don't want my heart. Dun, 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 dun. Gotta say, experiencing New Hampshire at 40 degrees is a lot nicer than experiencing New Hampshire at negative 14 degrees. Fuck negative 14 degree New Hampshire, seriously. One thing I appreciate about negative 14 degree New Hampshire, unlike the UAE, is that I'm allowed to do something like say, fuck. I'm not kidding when I say that a week of not being able to say that word, it messes with you. It really does. A week of not being able to say that word without fear of going to prison, some sort of Sharia prison. It really, really does mess with you, you know? But I know that I now at this point that I do have the ability to go that long without cursing in public, which I never thought I did. Also, if you're wondering why I'm creeping so slowly here, it's because on this road, late at night, somebody with no headlights on was going about 55 or 60 miles an hour and almost killed me. So I focused down the entire road with the intention of being able to see whether or not somebody may or may not be coming by without their headlights on. Lewis couldn't say fuck because Lewis spent a week in a Sharia law country. Admittedly, I spent it in a progressive part of a Sharia law country. Their idea of progressive is very different than what you guys think is progressive. Like, you guys think it's progressive when people have different pronouns and think of, you know, like, or and shit like that, or, you know, want universal basic income. Their idea of progressive is a man and a woman can occupy an apartment building or a hotel without being married, without it being a crime. That's their idea of progressive. Very, very, very different from our idea of progressive. Really puts things in perspective for you. I did forget how relaxing it is to drive through New Hampshire, though. It really is relaxing. It's beautiful here. Even at night, it's a different experience. But I needed that trip. I genuinely needed that trip. That trip put a lot in perspective for me. That trip taught me a lot more than I thought it would teach me, honestly. I learned more from that trip than I bargained for. And I'm happy I took it. It depends on some hotels outside of Dubai. They'll actually check your IDs and your marriage certificate and shit before they let you in. It depends. I learned a surprising amount from that trip. It was really helpful. I didn't experience any sandstorm. I was at the Abis Al Barsha. Very interesting hotel. I stayed at the Abis Al Barsha. Not that it's a secret. One of you fucking guessed it because you looked at my live stream and you saw the name in the water bottle, so... Hey, Jessica, how's it going? Right now, I am in Wilton, New Hampshire. I am in Wilton, New Hampshire. About a 20-minute drive. I was in the UAE trying to get them to pump more oil. You know, one of the things that I had predicted this. I talked about this in my streams like 9 months ago. Everybody was bitching about Biden for oil prices. To be clear, I don't like Biden. I'm not a fan of him as a president, and I would not vote for him in 2024. That being said, I was saying that there are many Arabic countries that were not able to meet. So the Saudi and Arabian oil minister, one of the heads of OPEC, you know, they agreed on quotas for each country that was a member, and they were upping them very slowly each month. And what was interesting is as they were upping the quotas, there were certain countries that were not able to make those quotas. So, I mean, obviously, they want to pump more because they want more money. They don't even like having a quota to begin with. But they wanted to pump more. And some of them were not able to live up to their existing quotas. And that's because when you don't pump for a certain period, when investment is dulled for even a short period of time, even 6 to 9 months, when oil prices were negative, going back to doing as you did before, very fucking difficult. I was in Dubai in 2001 for work. The guys at the Cisco office told me to go check out the nightclub. Well, that's the other thing I didn't understand about the UAE. You have all this Sharia stuff, but then when you look on the ground, you'll have all these cards with like double D-titted, giant Nicki Minaj-assed women with the saying, you know, like, bring the party to you with a number. And it's just weird. It's like, I don't understand what to make of this. I'm confused as to what the rule is. Very confused as to what the rule is. Needless to say, I didn't partake in any of that. I, as a white boy American, had no desire to face any sort of repercussions. So I behaved myself while I was in the UAE. I conducted myself politely. I wore dress shoes, khakis, a polo shirt, or a or a button-down shirt. I walked around. I went to a lot of cool places, and you know, I tried different foods. I met interesting people, and I was polite, kind, and courteous to all. But yeah, I did not sit. And people were kind, polite, and courteous to me. I honestly did not hate my time there. I just don't think I'd be able to live there because I love saying the word fuck. No offense to them, but you know. It's one of my favorite words. I don't know how to remove that from my understanding. I did not use a translator app. If you go to a place like that, nobody really understands if you talk, it's kind of like New York City. Like in New York City, all the people you're going to talk to are going to speak English. But if you try to talk to, let's say, the kitchen staff at a restaurant, you may meet somebody that really only understands basic English. It's the same thing there. Like if you're speaking to somebody at the hotel, they're going to speak English. If you go to a grocery store, they're going to speak English. If you go and you talk to like the person that's doing the laundry service for the hotel, they're only going to understand like 3 words of English. But you can go there and understand English and only speak English and be just fine. Even if you go to, you know, some of the more conservative areas like the Arabian Tea House area, the Gold Souk area, the mosque area, all that kind of stuff, you're mostly fine if you only speak English. And also the people there, they want to sell English tourists a bunch of stuff. There were some people there that wanted to sell English tourists stuff that was knockoff or fake, or you know. And they want your money, so they speak English. Like there was one place I walked through, it's like wallet, shoes, watch, wallet, shoes, watch, wallet, shoes, watch. You know, they know at least enough English to be able to take your money. I didn't buy anything while I was there, you know. One thing and the other thing that I learned from there is I don't know if I have seasonal affective disorder. I don't want to diagnose myself with something as somebody with little to no psychiatric knowledge, and that who is not a doctor. But there's something about being surrounded and bathed in sunlight on a regular basis that really does something for the personality. The Northeast is very depressing. The Northeast is intensely depressing. It's very cloudy. It's very cold in the wintertime. Even in the summertime, you got a lot of rain, a lot of clouds, and it messes with the psyche. And my time in Florida and my time in Dubai really did teach me that there's a large element to mood that has to do with sunlight. And it does mess with you to be in a place that's constantly cold, dark, fucking sun starts to go down at 3:45 in the afternoon. Like sun going down at 3:45 in the afternoon, humans are not designed for that shit. Like you bet your balls, if you go back and you trace human history back to the beginning, we were not made for fucking New Hampshire. No offense, it's a beautiful state, but it's just, we weren't made for this shit. We were made for sunlight, happiness, beauty, natural beauty. That stop sign is for the hill over there, not for me. I'm not going through a stop sign because I know somebody's going to say, Lewis, why are you going through a stop sign? I don't go through stop signs at 40 miles an hour. That stop sign is for the hill. It's just the angle of it makes it look like it's for me. I do slow down when I go by it because I don't assume that the people around me are going to obey the stop signs. I assume that the people around me are going to disobey the stop signs because I'm from New York City, and that's what people in New York City do. Stop signs are a suggestion. Steve said he thought that's why everybody in the UK are cunts, because it's always cloudy there. I am not a UAE agent, John DeCumo. No. I enjoyed my time in the country. I honestly, I don't have a lot of bad to say about it. Again, I spent a week there. Literally just a week. I don't have anything bad to say. They were a little hyper-conservative with their laws there, but I can understand, like, it's weird. Because I could never, like, when you hear about a law that says if somebody gets pregnant outside of wedlock, they just kick them out of the country, you could look at that and go, well, Jesus Christ, that's fucking insane. What the fuck is wrong with you? But then, I don't know, you look at some neighborhoods in the United States where there's a really, really high rate of single motherhood, and then you look at the kids that wind up not having dads and what this winds up, you know, resulting in, and the crime and the shooting and the complete lack of family unit and values, and generation after generations being completely and utterly fucked with no father figure, no values, no nothing, no community. And they just look at that and say, you know what? No, we're not doing that here. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's the proper approach. I'm not saying it's what I would do if I was a dictator. But I kind of get where they're coming from. You go to a place where there's no pollution, where I didn't see any, I was never afraid of there being a crime while I was there. You have major cities where somebody, like 1.2 million people in a city, and somebody just leaves their purse out in a mall and just thinks, I don't have to worry about anybody taking this from me. That's fucking crazy. You know what happens in New York City if you leave your purse down without looking at it for 3 seconds? It's fucking gone. It's gone immediately. I can understand why they have their society set up the way they do. It wouldn't work for me. I would get thrown in a prison. I would 100% get thrown in a prison. I'm far too much of an asshole, and I don't know how to keep my mouth shut, and I say shit I'm not supposed to say. I like the idea of trying to change things for the better, and you know, I would get in trouble there for sure, 100%. But I get why they have their shit set up the way they do. It's weird because it's one of those things where it's like, as an American, I think, oh my God, this place is so backwards. What the hell is wrong with you all? But then you visit and it's like, oh, there's no pollution and everybody's nice to each other, and you really seem to have little to no crime, and you have no, like, oh, I get it. Not for me, but I get it. I get it. It is weird though, like I make a YouTube video where I'm giving the middle finger and somebody calls me and is like, yo man, you really should probably edit that out of your fucking video. You really don't want to do that here. And I'm like, oh, it's like that. Okay. Is it possible to have both? Like, can you have all the free? And that's the other thing, like, somebody commented and said, you fucking moron, you're talking about freedom just because they have no traffic lights when they don't have rights for people. But that's not the point I was making. The point I was making is that when you have a culture of responsible people, you can get away with not having traffic lights. Like in the United States, we have a culture of freedom, but it doesn't really necessarily come with responsibility. Like even the beginning of the COVID shit, like I was very much so against mask mandates. I was against shutting down businesses. I was against all of that shit, 100%. I also wore a mask and I didn't go to raves during COVID. Why? Sense of responsibility. Freedom, responsibility. Freedom, responsibility. Like the freedom to not have traffic lights comes with the responsibility to not drive like a fucking New Yorker. No traffic lights. No accidents. It's beautiful. That's my point. Obviously, the human rights shit is a mess. 100%. That's why I would not be able to live there. But, damn. I just couldn't get over that a car is going 50 miles an hour and sees somebody at a crosswalk and it just stops without a traffic light and nobody hits anybody. That amazed me. Throughout that city, no traffic lights, no accidents. In New York City, you have to treat people like fucking children. Because if you don't, oh my god, like see that's a great example. Yeah, no headlight. Why is he driving at night on a street with no lights with a fucking taillight that's out? Because you're American. Freedom. My freedom to fucking smash into your car. What's he gonna do when his other headlight goes out? He's probably gonna smash into somebody, and is he gonna give a fuck? No. But that's America for you. I know I'm coming off pretty ignorant right now. I'm sure people have taillights that go out in other countries, but hopefully you're getting my overall point. I'll be in Nashua for a short period, Jessica, whatever, but I'm doing a much longer tour of everything tomorrow. Like, what I'd really like to have is all the good stuff you get from that type of environment, but without all the bad stuff. Like, can you have the good stuff of America and the good stuff of there? Is that possible? How long will it take? My car insurance isn't horrible here. My car insurance is not really great because I'm a new driver and I'm driving a piece of shit car, where the car insurance is high just because Elon. The car insurance is high for this car because of just because Tesla's a pile of bullshit to begin with, but. Germany has the Autobahn. Would they be considered more free? Well, Germany, that's another one. At least in terms of driving, they trust their citizens, John. You have to admit, Germany trusts people that they give a driver's license to a lot more than America does. America does not trust people they give a driver's license to. There's a reason on certain sections of the BQE, the speed limit's like 40 or 45 miles an hour. They give you training wheels. They have no faith, and I don't blame them for having no faith. There's a reason for that. I think my car insurance is about $120 a month. But I got like rental coverage, a low to zero deductible on a bunch of different things. And I think my coverage is a little too high because of paranoia. And also, I'm a new driver. I took one of those defensive driving 12-hour courses, but it lowered my price like $2 or $3 a month. Yes, I'm happy I took it because I learned something. Honestly, they spent about 3 hours in that course doing nothing but showing you dead bodies and saying this person was trying to send a text message while driving. This person spent too much time staring at their map while driving. This person was on a phone call with their significant other and was very angry at their significant other. And instead of having the conversation when they got home, decided to have it on the road. This is what they look like. This is what this person looked like when they used to have a head. And it was just a bunch of stuff like that. And it was that I didn't learn much. I didn't learn anything from the other 9 hours. It was boring textbook stuff. But the 3 hours of just purely showing you dead bodies, I have never sent a text message staring at my phone. I have used this, the car has some shit where you could like hit this, you hit that, and then you could send a text message by talking. I've done a lot of that, but I don't fucking stare at my phone and send text messages. And that really worked because it scared me half to death. And that is actually helpful. I kind of wonder if they did that for the normal driver's ed, or they made it a mandatory part of driver's ed if it would result in less car accidents. Because they say the first impression on anything is what sticks in your head. And my first impression while learning how to drive and getting that so that I could have cheaper insurance was that my head will be chopped off, my organs will be cut out, and it was really gory detail. They made sure, I don't know if they upped it in the pictures or if they photoshopped it to make it scarier, but whatever they did, it fucking worked. It worked really, really well. Like, I shit you not. If I'm in the car with somebody and they say, hey, look over there, look at that light, or look at that lake, or look at that exhibit, I will do this. I will turn on autopilot and auto steer just to look for a quarter of a second in another direction because I'm traumatized by those fucking photos. I still have them in my head. Like, I won't look out my left window without autopilot on. It probably sounds very privileged for those that don't have autopilot or something like that, but that's not how I intended to come off. I intended to demonstrate just the chilling effect that seeing a bunch of those photos had on my driving. Was freaky. Yeah, seeing the wait time, Francis, on getting this car replaced, I think it's up to 6 or 7 months now if I wanted to get another one of this car. So I've been treating it very, very well. I actually plan on getting it inspected by the best in the business tomorrow. The best in the business, because I'm close to 20,000 miles on this thing. I can't believe I put almost 20,000 miles on this since I got this thing last fucking June, and almost at 20,000 miles. But I am going to have it checked out tomorrow. I'm nice to it. I baby it. I wash it. I'm very, very fucking careful about crashing it and bashing it and potholes and all that. I want this thing. I'm gonna abuse the crap out of this for the next 10 to 20 years. I'm gonna abuse this for the next 10 to 20 years. No, I shouldn't say abuse. I'm gonna use the hell out of it for the next 10 or 20 years. But I'm nice to it because I know that I'm not getting another one. And it's going to be a long time before anybody makes an electric car that's worth a shit in the United States or anywhere. You have like all these companies that are making $150,000 to $190,000 electric vehicles. I don't want a fucking $150,000 car, and I definitely don't want a car with a shitty charging network. You could actually buy an electric car that's 4 times the cost of this one and still have a garbage charging network. I don't want anything to do with that shit. So I baby this. I definitely baby this. Clean the inside and the outside regularly. Don't fuck it up. No more Silverados. No more Silverados. I'm not allowing it to eat Silverados anymore, or try to eat Silverados anymore. Its Silverado eating days are over. I've seen a couple of close calls. I was in South Carolina, driving back from Miami the other 2.5 weeks ago, and I actually saw a guy, it was kind of traumatizing, get flown through his windshield. Probably didn't have a seatbelt on. That sucked. Knowing that there's like a 50% chance that guy is dead really fucked me up inside. I saw that in South Carolina. It was one of those highways where you could just barely see the other side of it, and this guy went off the road. His car went off the road. It looked kind of messed up, and I saw something shoot out. Like, that's not what I think it is it? His side had a lot of traffic, mine didn't, so I was able to slow down a little bit. I'm not going to slow down if there's people behind me. Slow down a little, put on some autopilot. I'm like, holy shit, that's a human being. That's an actual human. Jesus Christ. That was traumatizing. I'll check out the next Ben Heck video. I'm curious how long the battery is going to last in this car. I'm very curious how many miles I get out of it. I'll be honest with you. I'm curious to see what I get. I really don't understand how they expect it to get 10 years, Like a phone battery after 3 years is complete trash. A phone battery with heavy use after a year or two is one thing, and after 3 years is trash. So how is it that this battery, based on the exact same technology, is going to be that much better? Like, they expect you to take care of it in terms of how you charge it, and there's temperature regulation to it, which your phone does not have. Your phone is not temperature regulating your fucking battery the way a Tesla is, but it's hard for me to buy that it would make that long. But I'm curious to see. I'm not convinced that solid state battery technology will have improved enough 10 years from now to be able to replace a battery like this affordably. I mean, technically you can replace battery sections, right? But once your battery is 10 years old, even if one section fails, the other sections are going to fail very soon after. So again, as a quick fix, to be able to just have something that works, I think it is acceptable to do that, to just replace one bank. But again, the problem that you run into there, the problem you're going to run into is that what are you going to do when the rest of them start failing one after the other, and then you're paying labor not once or twice, but again, you're paying to replace each set of batteries, but then you're paying a high labor fee each time. My hope would be at that point that solid state battery tech or something has advanced to the point where you're able to just have a battery that lasts a fairly long time, that is really powerful, that it costs like $2,000. Obviously, that's probably bullshit. There's no way that's happening inside of 10 years. I don't see that much innovation happening inside of 10 years. It would be really fucking cool if a genius figured it out, but it's one of those things where
in 500 feet, your destination will be on the left.
You can hope, you can pray, but that doesn't really make it reality, now does it? %90 capacity after 200k miles. Bullshit. Probably lucky if I have 90% capacity now. Toyota doesn't have any electric cars, Clint, or I would. I'd consider it if Toyota had an electric car. But right now, they're all gas. Depends on how I'm charging it, Fredicus. If I charge it at home, like overnight, I'll be done. Overnight, I could go from 0 to like 250, but I never run it down to 0. So like if I run it down to 100, I'll be at the full 353 by the time I wake up. It's so cheap too. Oh my god, it's so cheap to fill this up from 0 to full. Like you're talking less than $15. If I'm charging during off-peak hours, like less than $15, it's beautiful. But apparently Australia is the battery version of Wakanda. They have some super battery tech. They're testing to back up their power grid, super advanced, but they won't tell us. Again, that's part of, blame Jim Hook and Paul Daniels for that. That's Paul Daniels' fault. That prick. Anyway. Fortunately, I don't have a designated driver. No liquor for me. I honestly felt good. This was 46K, and like now this car is way more expensive. It's ridiculous. I literally would profit by selling this fucking car. There's no, you shouldn't be able to buy a car, put 20,000 miles on it, and sell it, and actually have to file that you made capital gains on it. That's ridiculous. That's retarded. But even at 40K or so, I feel guilty that I spent that much on a car. The way that's way too much. It's outside of my personality. It's weird because the only places where I've ever spoiled myself in my entire life, I think, were car, food, stereo. Again, I don't need a TLCS 3.6 in my office. I don't need Vandersteen Model 3A signatures in my apartment. I just want them. But I don't spend money on almost anything. I don't treat myself to anything. So this is like the most, 40K or so is like the top, the max I could ever imagine spending on a car. But also, it's not like a vanity mobile. I'm not kidding. I'm going to fucking use this thing in 10 years. Tesla tells me I can't fix it, I'm going to go to a fucking junkyard and pull some shit out of a junkyard and fix it myself. If they say I can't charge it anymore, I'm going to pull the fucking eMMC chip out of Sonny's while he's sleeping, because I know where he lives, and I'm going to take the eMMC chip out of his car, put it in mine, so that Tesla thinks that my car is one of the 2017 ones, back when they offered unlimited charging, and get charging from Elon for free. Like, I plan on using this shit for at least absolute minimum of 10 years. Like, minimum. I'm not one of those people that says, I need to have the latest tech. I need new features. My car has a scratch on it and a bump. Because a lot of people talk themselves into replacing stuff they don't have to replace, you know? Like, it has a bump on it. Yeah, you know, I want something with a clear history, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm going to use this thing for at least 10 years. Absolute minimum. I'm going to torture this thing. I think the way to build a pack is 20%. With 20% of capacity that you can't use as the battery ages, it can slowly use the normally untouchable capacity. I don't know. I don't believe that. I don't buy that simply because the range lies as is. You know, like 353 miles is bullshit. You're probably going to get 300. If you drive, like, if you don't drive, like, even if you drive like a grandma, max probably like 310, 320, max. Cricket wireless. Nah. I blew up. Unit pack power blew up one e-bike. Why are we looking at Lewis's crotch? You shouldn't be. You're paying attention to the wrong thing. No, the EPA is bullshit. I don't know who they paid off at the EPA. They paid off somebody at the EPA. That's absolute bullshit. This car doesn't get even remotely near that. You could drive like a fucking grandpa, and you're not even getting close to that. Again, I don't know who they paid off at the EPA or how they did it, but they... Don't tell me what to do, Wang Wei. You won't last here very long. But when you say your aunt spent $100,000 on a car, that's way too much. I agree, but like I spent 40, you know. So after all the credits and the other crap, I spent 40. So I see that, and it's like, okay, I think that's too much. But somebody else out there probably thinks, holy shit, this guy spent 40. That's too much. I don't know. I think it depends on the person. To each their own. Who am I to draw the line? In a city, Model 3 get more than 350 miles. In a city, using a car makes no sense, though.